Hello and welcome to the Motoring News Zone, the show we take you for all the biggest stories in the world of cars right now. This week we take a look at why gasoline prices are set to rise in California, why Tesla has been ordered to remove their superchargers from the New Jersey Turnpike, and we react to a car transport ship being set alight by electric vehicles off the coast of Alaska. If you're watching on YouTube, skip to the timestamps in the description to go to the story that you are most interested in watching. But without further delay, let's dive in. Conspiracy, corruption, all kinds of things allegedly going on right now in the US government. Let's have a look at what's happened here, guys. So according to a new report by New Jersey Advanced Media and NJ.com, the New Jersey Turnpike Authority has ordered Tesla to decommission and remove 64 superchargers at rest stops along the New Jersey Turnpike, the stretch of the I-95 highway spanning northern and southern New Jersey. People who've watched The Sopranos will know the New Jersey Turnpike. I believe it's where the entire opening credits for that pretty much are filmed. But anyway, it was still under construction in 1999 and it still appears to be under construction according to people who live there. That's just what I've heard from a few people I know over in New York and New Jersey. But anyway, the superchargers. It's a very popular commuter route, as you can imagine. New York metropolitan area being the biggest in the US in terms of population by a long, long way. And this, of course, does extend down into the state of New Jersey as well. As per a statement on the 30th of May from the New Jersey Turnpike Authority, the state agency responsible for the maintenance and upkeep of the New Jersey Turnpike and the Garden State Parkway, the move comes as the agency decided to transition to what it called the Universal Open Access EV Chargers, starting on the 6th of June. Which, as I record this, is just 3 days away. These chargers, which are provided by Applegreen Electric, an arm of Irish company Applegreen, who operates NJTA's service areas, are said to be compatible with all makes and models of EVs and will be available on the 6th of June at various service areas across the Turnpike, including Vince Lombardi, Woodrow Wilson, Richard Stockton, James Fenimore Cooper, Joyce Kilmer, and Walt Whitman service areas. And there will also be additional chargers at the Molly Pitcher service area in July and the Clara Barton and John Fenwick service areas in the fall of 2025. According to early user reports data from PlugShare, these chargers are capable of doing up to 400 kilowatts of charging and are usually located next to Tesla supercharged at select service areas. So those Tesla superchargers have been ordered by the local authorities to be removed, and right now those universal chargers are already there, but they are just alongside the superchargers from Tesla. But of course the Tesla ones do have to go. So what have Tesla had to say about this? Well, like I said, Musk is not particularly happy, as you can probably imagine. But on the official channels on X, Tesla's charging account wrote the following. The New Jersey Turnpike Authority has chosen a sole third-party charging provider to serve the New Jersey Turnpike and is not allowing us to co-locate. As a result, they are requesting that 64 existing supercharger stalls on the New Jersey Turnpike are not to be renewed, and as a result, they have requested 64 existing supercharger stalls on the New Jersey Turnpike to not be renewed and therefore be decommissioned. We have been preparing for 3 years for this potential outcome by building 116 stalls off the New Jersey Turnpike, ensuring no interruption for our customers. The map below outlines the existing replacement superchargers and Trip Planner will adjust accordingly. We offered the NJTA above market commercial terms, including offering to build superchargers at all New Jersey Service Plaza and with equipment upgrades, such as screens and NACS with CCS1 Magic Docks. Tesla always advocates for more infrastructure and co-location with additional third-party charging providers. This drives down the cost through optionality and accelerates EV adoption by having sufficient capacity to shoulder peaks. We expect that around 30 times more charging capacity is needed to get full EV adoption. The decision to remove rather than add critical charging infrastructure is a setback for New Jersey's EV adoption goals for 100% zero-emission new car sales by 2035. It removes turnpike access to the most reliable, around 19.9% uptime, and least congested, less than 1% waiters, and cost-effective, around 30% lower dollars per kilowatt hour charging. We are still willing to invest in the turnpike sites if the New Jersey Turnpike or Governor Murphy want to reverse this decision. Otherwise, we will continue to build out the best possible infrastructure off the turnpike to serve Del Val Tesla and the EV drivers of New Jersey. Bring back the days of 140 characters on Twitter. I know it went up to 280, but my God, it has really increased. Is there even a limit nowadays, guys? I'm not on X. I don't really do that, unfortunately. So let me know about that in the comments below. So what's the big deal when it comes to this? Well, at the end of the day, these Tesla chargers are not universal, and that's a big problem when it comes to the availability of them. Now, they do actually work on other brands of vehicles. They do work on other EVs from the likes of Ford, GM, Rivian, Volvo, Polestar, Hyundai, and Genesis, but not all of the brands, unlike these apple green ones. But apparently people are complaining at the fact that it's going to, increase the amount of congestion effectively, not necessarily on the roads themselves, but also on the roads when it comes to actually getting a charge. It's going to take a very long time because these Teslas are being removed. So I don't understand personally why we can't just have both of them being there, but some people are saying, well, the fact that the Tesla ones are not universal, that very much does play against them. That is something that's very negative and something they're going to have to try and correct. And therefore, it's not a surprise that New Jersey very much has voted, or at least put this motion in place. So I want to hear what you guys have to say in the comments below. Are Tesla right to cry foul play on this one? Or is this just the result of an open market when it comes to these EV chargers? I want to hear what you have to say in the comments below, guys. Got some breaking news here for you guys. A ship has been abandoned off the coast of Alaska after catching fire, and the cause, the electric vehicles on board this vessel have caught fire, and the whole ship has ran ablaze as well. The United States Coast Guard and civilian vessels have rescued 22 sailors off the coast of Alaska after some of the electric cars they were transporting caught fire. The ship Morning Midas is a roll-on, roll-off ferry that was delivering 3,000 vehicles from Yantai in China to Lázaro Cárdenas in Mexico, and it is currently around 304 miles south of Adak, Alaska, the US Coast Guard has confirmed. The sailors on the vessel, which is operated by British-based Zodiac Maritime, noticed the fire around midnight UTC on the 3rd of June and were unable to stop the subsequent fire from breaking out. They said, and I quote, "The vessel is located with around 3,000 vehicles, 800 of which are electric vehicles," Zodiac Marine told the Register. Smoke was initially seen emanating from a deck carrying electric vehicles. The crew immediately initiated emergency firefighting procedures using the vessel's onboard fire suppression systems. However, despite their efforts, the situation could not be brought under control. The crew then made a distress call and boarded lifeboats, and then nearby merchant vessels rescued them, the Coast Guard has said. The ship is now likely to continue burning until specialised firefighting crews arrive and attempt to halt the blaze. And if you know anything about electrical fires, you do not pour water onto them. And the seawater will not actually put this out either as well, because salt water is an even better conductor of electricity than regular drinking water. I mean, anybody who knows anything about electricity knows this is a bad idea. You know, if you put salt water onto a lithium battery, which of course is the batteries that make up EV batteries in cars, that will cause it to overheat in a sequence of rapid reactions, a process called thermal runaway that can cause the entire battery to burn. So it just makes the fire even worse, unfortunately. Battery fires in general are notoriously difficult to extinguish after they've started and tend to burn hotter and faster than other blazes. Sometimes they reignite after firefighters put them out, and one marshal told CNBC back in 2022 about a Tesla that burned so hot it melted the part of the road. So thankfully this is a long way from anybody, but this will be a very difficult fire to actually put out, and thank God that the crew managed to get off there as quick as they did, because it could have turned ugly very fast for them. And this is far from the first time we've seen electric vehicles actually cause a massive fire like this. Remember Hurricane Milton last year in Florida? Well, a lot of fires actually broke out because of that, because of the EVs. And indeed, the state fire marshal for Florida, Jimmy Patronis, warned that electric cars and other battery-powered kit are, quote, ticking time bombs, end quote. He went on to say, in the aftermath of Hurricane Helene, we have seen nearly 50 fires caused by lithium-ion batteries, with 11 of those fires being caused by electric vehicles. And indeed, Japanese shipping line Mitsui O.S.K. is suing Volkswagen and insurers after a 2025 fire aboard the car transporter Felicity Ace. The vessel, packed full of luxury cars, allegedly caught fire when the lithium battery in a Porsche shorted out and ignited. While the Felicity Acer's crew escaped to safety, other authorities left the fire to burn itself out, and attempts to tow the vessel into port failed and it sank in the Atlantic Ocean, leading to the loss of nearly 4,000 vehicles. However, with the morning midas, they hope to avoid a similar outcome. They have said, "We are working closely with emergency responders, with a tug being deployed to support and salvage firefighting operations. Our priorities are to ensure the safety of the crew and protect the marine environment." So we'll bring you any kind of updates when it comes to this, guys. But yeah, really, really sad story to see this. Thankfully, all the crew are off safely, but really nasty. And it is one of the big dangers of electric vehicles, unfortunately, when they go up in when they do catch on fire, which can happen in these kinds of situations, it very much can be disastrous, and we've seen the worst side of it today. But yeah, your thoughts in the comments below, guys. If you live in California, you might find soon that your gas prices are going up. Why is this? Well, it's all to do with a bill that was rejected in the California Senate earlier this week. The Senate Bill 2 had aimed to halt the proposed changes to California's low-carbon fuel standard, the LCFS, that was approved by the California Air Resources Board, also known as CARB, back in November. Senate Minority Leader Brian Jones, who is part of the Republican Party, who authorized the bill, forced a floor vote on the measure on Wednesday, and lawmakers rejected it 10-23, with the Democrats unanimous in their opposition of this bill. So why does this matter? Well, a report by the University of Pennsylvania's Kleinman Center for Energy Policy predicted that the changes could increase the cost of gasoline by up to 65 cents a gallon in the near term and by 85 cents per gallon as soon as 2030. Supporters of this say that the new rules are necessary to keep California on track for its climate goals. Supporters of this say that the new rules are necessary for California to keep on track for its climate goals. However, critics have warned that the standards could raise gas prices even higher in a state where drivers already pay some of the highest fuel costs in the nation. And we don't even need to get into the details of how people are really struggling to make it day by day, especially in an expensive state like California. So why does this matter for gas prices? Why are they going to increase off of this bill being rejected? Well, the Senate Bill 2 aimed to, quote, void specified amendments to the low-carbon fuel standard regulations adopted by the state on November 8, 2024, or as subsequently adopted as specified. End quote. So effectively what this all means is that fuels that have a higher carbon content, they will in fact be taxed more than those with a lower carbon content. But in most gas stations, you will find fuels that have higher values of carbon content. That's the more popular one to go with. And to opt for those that have less carbon in, unfortunately, because they are more intensive to actually produce, they are more expensive to produce, that cost will go on to the customer. So either way, it's going to increase the prices of gasoline. And like I said, not everybody's a fan of this. In fact, the vast majority of people, from what I can tell, are very much not a fan of this. Unsurprisingly, why would they be happy about having to pay more for the same product? Politicians and people alike are very much labeling this as a tax on everybody and something that is just going to harm people. A tax on hard-working Californians who, like I said, are really struggling to make ends meet at the moment. But some people have pushed back about that 65 cents a gallon figure. In fact, David Clergan, who is a spokesman for the California Air Resources Board, CARB, like I mentioned before, he has called the 65 cent figure misinformation, saying that independent experts estimate that gas prices may rise by just 5 to 8 cents per gallon, but it's still an increase. And he also claimed to the Sacramento Bee that in fact this will not have a direct impact on gas prices, which kind of just goes against what he just said. He said it was going to go by 5 to 8 cents, and he said it's not going to impact it. Make your mind up. So what's going to happen next? Well, the proposed updates to the LCFS were resubmitted to the Office of Administrative Law, which reviews the legality of the state regulations, and that was done on the 16th of May. After that, the agency rejected the proposed changes in February. The The agency now has until the 30th of June, the end of the month, to make a final determination, and if approved, the changes could go into effect as soon as July 1st. Getting close towards the 4th of July there. Happy Independence Day, everybody. And in fact, that could well come on the same day that an increase in California's state gas tax is set to take effect, rising from 59.6 to 61.2 cents per gallon. And I think Sharia Starb over on Microsoft, over on MSN, has very much summed up the feelings of a lot of Californians right now when it comes to gasoline. She said, and I quote, "I am a native of California. California is basically being trafficked by our so-called elected officials who abuse and exploit her for every opportunity to enrich themselves. We, the people, the regular folks, are the parents of this state who are powerless to save her. That is how I feel." And I know a lot of people over in California are feeling the exact same right now. A very sorry state of affairs. But yeah, your thoughts in the comments below are appreciated as always, guys. Tesla has lost $152 billion in their market cap overnight. Why is this? Well, Elon Musk and Donald Trump are not the best of friends anymore. Despite their bromance going on in US politics until very recently, unfortunately for them, their relationship has very much soured in the most public of forums, X. Yes, they have had an argument on social media, like a recently divorced couple, and it's absolutely embarrassing, to be honest with you, but yeah. Let's just go through what's been said, guys. I cannot believe... Well, I can believe this has happened, to be fair. It's absolutely on par with both of these two when it comes to their conduct in the public forums. But yeah, let's have a look at what's happened here, guys. So here's the full story. Shares of Tesla fell 14% on Thursday as President Donald Trump threatened to pull government contracts for CEO Elon Musk companies, escalating a war of words over the spending bill. The move dropped the EV maker $152 billion in value, the biggest hit to its market cap ever, putting it below the $1 trillion benchmark and ending Thursday at $916 billion. Trump recently wrote on Truth Social, Elon was, quote, wearing thin, and I asked him to leave. I took away his EV mandate that forced everyone to buy electric cars that no one else wanted, that he knew for months I was going to do, and he just went crazy, in all caps. Trump spoke from the Oval Office earlier on Thursday and said that Musk was upset that EV credits were not included in the bill. Musk was upset that EV credits were not included in the bill. But that's not a huge surprise given that the Trump administration so far has been extremely regressive when it comes to the environmental impact. They're not passing many bills that favour renewable energy, and EVs, of course, are a part of that. But Trump recently said from the Oval Office, Elon and I had a great relationship. I don't know if we will anymore. And then Musk replied, whatever. Yeah, very much like a divorced couple or a couple going through a bit of a disharmonious time. But he went further than that. Musk later said, without me, Trump would have lost the election. Dems would control the House and the Republicans would beat 51-49 in the Senate, he said on X. Musk has gone from the spearhead of the Doge agency in the government supporting Trump's policies to now actively calling them, quote, a disgusting abomination. And it gets even more crazy than that. Just going through Elon Musk's X feed this morning, I mean, he's retweeting stuff about Trump being involved with Jeffrey Epstein. He's basically said that he was on the list as well of people on the manifest, as it were, to the island that Jeffrey Epstein did what he did. Of course, I'm not going to get too into detail about that, but that is something that he's claimed. He's also claiming that the Trump tariffs are going to bankrupt the entire United States before the end of the year. I mean, some of the stuff I can't even repeat on this channel for you guys. I do implore you go and look at it because his Twitter feed right now is absolute insanity. And he's also, if you go on his Twitter feed as well, he has also put a post up, a poll asking whether, quote, is it time to create a new political party in America that actually represents the 80% in the middle? And just over 80% of people have responded yes to that poll, as it turns out. So, yeah, over 5 million people have voted in it, and they're very much getting their opinions across. So, yeah, interesting and challenging times for Trump and Musk right now. Like I said, the stock price of Tesla has really been hit hard, but Elon is very much clapping back when it comes to his posts on X. But yeah, guys, who was in the right here, who was in the wrong, somewhere in between? I want to hear what you have to say about this in the comments below, guys. As always, I'm sure you've got plenty of opinions when it comes to this story, because it's something that is only just getting started, and yeah, it is interesting to say the least. So we brought you recently the story regarding the Advanced Clean Cars 2 legislation over in the state of California, where they were essentially wanting to phase out the sale of new gasoline-powered vehicles by 2035. That got voted through in their assembly, but it was then blocked by the central government. Now, of course, the Democrats are currently planning legal action against the US government for this, and we'll bring you any news when that comes. But what did the legislation actually want to do? Well, the plan was for only zero-emission vehicles, ZEV vehicles, to be sold in participating states beginning from 2035, according to the rule which was first adopted by California, which meant that the automakers and dealerships will be banned from selling new gas-powered cars in these states from that point forward. But which other states were thinking, or at least considering banning gas-powered cars in the near future? Because it wasn't just California. In fact, there are 8 other states that are involved in this, that are considering taking up this action. But which are they? Well, I'm going to go through them now for you guys. So the most recent to join this is the state of Rhode Island, and they are pledging to ban the sale of gas-powered cars in the near future. And they join Maryland, Massachusetts, New Jersey, New York, Oregon, and Washington states. And on top of this as well, the District of Columbia, DC, they have also made a similar commitment. Delaware and Colorado last year finalized rules that would require 82% of new cars to be ZEV vehicles by 2032, but officials have not adopted the 2035 bans outlined in the Advanced Clean Cars 2 legislation. New Mexico, meanwhile, announced in July that it will set annual targets for the sale of ZEV vehicles and may adopt parts of the Advanced Clean Cars 2 legislation, but that has not been confirmed yet, and they have not confirmed whether they will endorse a 2035 ban on gas-powered cars. But it's an interesting grey area, because like I said, it did get voted through in California, but the central government repealed it. Now, of course, in theory, even if these states do vote through that Advanced Clean Cars 2 legislation, going off what happens in California, it could well get voted down by the central government, though of course there is a legal challenge pending from the Democratic Party. And something to very much bear in mind when it comes to this as well is the fact that by law, states cannot regulate what is actually made in their states. So in those states, apparently, according to some people, they cannot actually mandate what kind of vehicles are produced there. Basically, they have no control over interstate commerce. So if, for example, I don't know, Ford wants to still produce gas-powered cars in California from 2035, even though that legislation would be in place, as I understand it, they would still be able to produce those gas-powered cars because that is a federal issue, although there's a lot of grey areas when it comes to US politics in that regard. And a lot of people are just labeling these bans as stupid. I mean, I do understand it, because over in California, for example, I'm seeing a lot of reports of people complaining at the fact that, you know, during the summer in particular, when air conditioning is a lot more popular to use, people are experiencing a lot of blackouts in the state. They're really struggling to get enough electricity. It's regularly cutting out in some cases for days. So if you're adding all of this electric vehicle charging to the network, it's just going to make it worse. Of course, there is time to adapt the network, but so far, at the moment, the network clearly cannot handle this demand. And that's only going to increase if that bill does indeed get through. And of course, something else we've got to bear in mind as well, as we've covered here on the channel before, you know, extreme weather does really hurt EVs compared to gas-powered cars. Now, in more temperate states, it's not as much of a problem. But over in states, for example, like Colorado and Washington, it gets extremely cold during the winter. Whereas in New Mexico, it can get extremely hot during the summer as well, which really can hurt the life of those EVs. It does hurt the charging capabilities and the overall storage of those EV batteries. So, yeah, it's an interesting one for sure, guys. We'll bring you any updates when it comes to this. But yeah, basically, there's quite a few states that are considering taking up that Advanced Clean Cars 2 legislation. A lot really does depend on that lawsuit with the Democrats, because if, for example, that lawsuit is unsuccessful, I think a lot of these states will think twice about trying to vote through this legislation, because it'll probably just get repealed by the central government anyway. But if it's successful, then that could very much stimulate more of these states adopting these measures. But from what I'm seeing, they are not the most popular measures that they are trying to bring in. But guys, let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Will more states try and do what California did, or is it very much a moot point because it's never going to get through the government anyway? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Like, share, comment, subscribe. As always, guys, and have a fantastic day wherever you are in the world today, guys, and we'll see you very soon.